let's go back to a 5-minute game. Apparently now I'm playing according to my opponent's avatar. I'm playing Albert Einstein, which is obviously an interesting sort of challenge for me. Just 1 sec. I need to start eating before I play rather than during. Okay, anyway, we have a Khan Sicilian here. If I do play g6, all my pawns would be on light squares. But the idea is to, while you're waiting a little bit with development, you are staying flexible. The knight from b8 can go to c6 or d7, and also the knight from d8 can go to either f6 or e7. And a3 is decent, but it's obviously a little bit slow. And yeah, queen c7 is very typical in order to play knight f6 without allowing e5. Okay, so this is interesting. Bishop f4. First of all, e5 does not win a piece because of bishop g3, keeping the pin on the queen. Secondly, after d6, well, sacrifices with bishop b5 followed by knight b5 is already somewhat looming. After long castles, for instance, I probably would have gone e5 then. And if bishop b5, a b5, knight b5, I go bishop queen c6, bishop g5, knight d7. Looks a bit dangerous, but maybe I would have been fine there. Bishop g5 violates one of the main rules of opening play, that you should not move the same piece twice. And also it sort of helps me develop, since I wanted to go knight d7 anyway. Also, I could have gone bishop e7, which would also have helped me with development. And now I think he's a little bit stuck. Yes, his position is nice. Pieces are well developed, but the question is, where are you actually going to attack? And meanwhile, I will castle next, and I will hopefully have a very solid position with maximum flexibility. And taking on f6 is not positionally desirable. Usually you should not exchange bishops for knights without some concrete justification. But then again, I'm sure a lot of you already know that. Again, in the theme of staying flexible, as you do in many of these positions, I'm placing the rook opposite his queen, which can be very useful in case the position is opened. And e5, I guess, is reasonable. But I think concretely, it does lose a pawn, since obviously ba3, the knight on c3 is hanging. And most probably I will be a pawn up with a better position as well. And knight f3, yeah, I don't know what that move is all about. Now I get to take on b2 as well, attacking both c1 and c3. and the rook on e5 via X-ray. Yeah, he's gonna be lucky if he loses just an exchange. Probably, yeah. It's gonna be a full piece. If he'd move the knight to, let's say, e2, I would have taken an f3 first, and yeah, knight g5. Now he's losing the plot. This very often happens to lower rated players, that you make a bunch of reasonable moves, and once you make one mistake or even a blunder, then they very often compound, and you make a whole bunch of them, and your position collapses. Okay. Yeah, once again, I'm accepting 3-minute and 5-minute challenges from premium members. So if you do not meet those criteria, you're not gonna be able to play, unfortunately. Okay, so this is Arch with some numbers from Belgium. Okay, let's just try and play pretty classical once again. B6, this is a somewhat unusual move order, but I think at the end of the day, we're going to get one of the good old lines of the Queen's Indian that Gary popularized back in the day. And this is the classical way of playing it as black. Now you usually go c5. Wondering briefly if I don't think that's the way people play, but if e5, probably e5, h6 is nothing special. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna castle. And the white position looks quite appealing here, with a pretty big center, but usually in practice it's not that easy. And black, it's fairly easy development and some possibilities of attacking the white center. Queen c7. Can't say I like that move at all, actually, since you're sort of begging for d5 to be played. It looks fairly similar to an old game of Gary's versus Portish, where he played d5. Everything was blasted open after ed5, eventually going for bishop g7 later on, and winning a beautiful game. I think it's just too tempting here to go d5, so I sort of have to do it. If ed, it's already looking pretty dicey for black, I would say. Knight a5, and then after queen e4, I probably have to play g6. Which looks, to me at least, very dubious. So knight a5, he quite correctly does. That's a lot better. Not opening up the diagonal for my bishop on d3, but he does leave himself with a pretty glaring weakness on e6. So I think I should be doing very well. Here you see another one of the disadvantages of queen c7, which is that he has to spend another move defending it with queen d7. And even on d7, I would say the queen is not particularly safe, since bishop b5 is a massive threat now. And if knight c6, there would have been bishop takes e6 followed by bishop c4, winning the queen. So now I think I'm still gonna go bishop b5. And if queen to, yeah, queen f7 is probably decent. I was hoping for queen e7, and then maybe I could have gone knight f5 there, ef5, and then rook d7. So there was queen g5 there, but at the very least, it looked tempting. I can see now that I'm very short on time. A natural result of me yapping too much. So I'm going to have to speed up here. Still, rook d7 is a massive threat. Rook f7, I'm just going to go rook d1. Maybe bishop e5 was an option there as well. Maybe I missed out there. Okay, can't think. Okay, I'll just take on f7. Maybe you can take on e4 now. As is getting out of hand in a major way. We'll give a check, hope for the best. Okay, we'll take d3, knight e5 next. This has gotten ugly. But he's taking a lot of time. g3. Now at least my position is improving quite a bit. Okay, we'll just have to hope for a quick attack here. But also he's quickly running out of time as well. Tending bishop a3 at some point. Give a check. He's defending well, but I think he's going to lose some time. Okay, yeah, he just wasn't very fast. But in general, there, I think it was a good game for a while, but then obviously turned out into a bit of a ridiculous scramble.